but I do think it's a very good idea to keep pushing the intensity so that in addition to practicing the good, efficient form, I also really practice just trying my hardest and just trying to complete the rep at all costs. What's up, folks? It's John here, back with episode 4 of The Grind. Today we're going to do the fourth and final of the different training sessions that I'm rotating through right now. And this is kind of the most exciting one for me because it includes the heavy overhead press, which is my main training goal at the moment. Also included today is going to be a one-arm cable pull down, which I also do on my light days. I'm working this because it's essentially the opposite motion of the overhead press, and also to slowly build up strength in my elbows for pulling again because I've had an elbow injury. Then for my accessory exercise, I'm doing the upright row, which adds a little bit of extra hypertrophy work for the shoulders. All right, I feel ready. You guys feel ready? Let's get into it. So to warm up for the overhead press, I did 2 lighter sets of the overhead press, working up to my heavier working weight. The start off working weight that I was doing today was 54 kilograms. So for the 2 warm-ups, I did 1 set of 22 kilograms and 1 set of 38 kilograms. After that, felt good to go. I also did a handstand press negative, which is great to just practice. It warms up the shoulders and forces you to control the body a little bit and focus on the job at hand. Instead of laundry, taxes, what am I gonna make for dinner? When do I need to take out the trash? And with that, I was ready to go. So one thing I really wanted to focus on with this episode is talking about form and intensity and the relationship between these 2 variables. On these pure strength workouts like today, I actually allow a bit more of technical errors in these exercises. So for the overhead press, for instance, my back tends to arch a little bit when I get to the sticking point, when I'm going really heavy. On my strength days, when I'm doing very high weights, I allow that so that I can continue to work at a very high intensity. I try to minimize it, and you'll see in the first set, for instance, the first 3 reps look pretty good form, and then I begin to arch on the 4th set. The same thing happens on the 2nd set, and after that I start dropping the weight. But I do think it's a very good idea to keep pushing the intensity so that in addition to practicing the good, efficient form, I also really practice just trying my hardest and just trying to complete the rep at all costs. So in this method of starting at 54 kilograms for 2 sets, then dropping the weight to 52 kilograms, and then finally on the last set dropping the weight again to 50 kilograms, I get a bit of all of those. I work at a very high intensity, but I still get many reps with nearly perfect form. And then on my hypertrophy days, where I'm doing more volume at a lower intensity, I'm much stricter about the form and don't allow any arching. After the overhead press, we got into the cable pull down. So I'm doing this variation unilaterally for basically 3 reasons. The first reason is that I have large imbalances between my left and my right hands because I have an injury in my right elbow. The second reason is that I work out at home and this setup is not a proper cable machine. I'm just tying a rope over my pull-up bar. So a fair amount of friction caused by this setup. And the lighter weight, the less the friction is. So by using 1 arm instead of 2, I can half the weight and half the heat produced. And the third reason is because I want to do this exercise to really establish that mind-muscle connection with my lats. And by doing this unilaterally, you're able to get a really big lat stretch at the end by allowing some side bend. And at the end, you can flex and twist to really feel it in the lats in a way that just doesn't work if you're doing it with 2 hands at the same time. And pardon the awkward filming for the front angle. I wanted to show you guys the front angle, but the only way to really do it, since I don't have a tripod, is to film from the bathroom counter a room away. It's a bit awkward, but alas. So for the rest, we'll be sticking with the back angle. But yeah, this is one of the best home exercises with the equipment that I have that really makes me feel a lot of lat engagement. Let me know in the comments, what are your favorite lat exercises to do either at home or in the gym, and why? Listen to those grunts though. That's the sweet, sweet sound of effort. And the accessory exercise I have on this session is the upright row. It's a pretty awesome one for getting some extra volume for the deltoids, but it also has a double effect of pumping out the forearms pretty well. A lot of people are a bit afraid of this one because they think that it can lead to shoulder impingement. While that's probably true, I haven't had any problems with it, and that sort of explains my kind of weird setup with it. If you look at my posture, I'm hunched over in an interesting way, and basically what I do is I pike my hips such that my shoulders are in front of my hips and that the line of pull is a bit more diagonal and backwards. When I'm doing that, I'm able to keep my shoulders retracted throughout the motion, which prevents impingement. The impingement's much more likely to happen if your shoulders are rolling forward and protracting. But if you keep them retracted, which is much easier to do when you're leaning forward slightly, this is much less likely to happen. So when I do this, I feel it a lot in my shoulders and a lot in my forearms, and I feel no shoulder discomfort. And for this exercise, just like with the overpress, I'm doing extra myo rep after the last set until beyond technical failure. So I'm just doing partial reps until I can barely move the bar anymore. Pretty good strategy for overloading. I do, however, avoid it on the one-arm pull-downs, and that's just because, like I mentioned, I have a bit of elbow tendonitis, and I just don't want to push it too much. So myo reps are a great tool, but like any tool, you should know when to use them and know when not to use them.